In the cause of the so-called Arab Spring, just over 5 years ago in March 2011, the civil war in Syria broke loose. It began with allegedly peaceful protests against President Bashar al-Assad's government. Soon it turned into a complicated and non-transparent war, which can hardly be called a civil war any longer. A variety of armed groups, ranging from terror groups to Kurdish organizations, are fighting against the government forces, but also against each other or together with the government forces. In addition, since 2014, a NATO coalition led by the USA is carrying out air attacks on positions held by IS terrorists. And since 2015, Russia has helped Assad's government in the fight against terrorists. For Western politicians and media, it was clear from the start the blame for the conflict lies with Syria's President Bashar al-Assad, whom they have completely demonized. In several programs, Klar TV has referred to countervoices. You'll find these listed following this program. Today, Klar TV lets another countervoice be heard, which is not in accordance with the Western world's official opinion. In a lecture held on May 30th, 2016, Swiss historian and peace researcher, Doctor of Philosophy Daniele Ganser presented a possible and simple answer to the causes of the war in Syria. In addition to other causes, certainly also this aspect plays a role in the Syrian war. Watch now a 5-minute excerpt of the lecture held by Daniele Ganser in Munich for the Ecologic Democratic Party.
Now let me explain something about the war in Syria, because most people cannot understand this war anymore. Syria, when I ask my friends, maybe for you this is different, but they just say, Syria, total chaos. I don't understand it. Everybody is bombing, I don't know why. Principally, and this is my analysis, there are various opinions, I can only tell you about my analysis. Basically, you're not surprised, it's all about oil and natural gas. Here, in the Persian Gulf, there's a natural gas field, and it's the biggest gas field in the entire world. The Qatari own a part of this gas field, and they met in Turkey in 2009, 2 years before the war in Syria broke out, and they said, we would like to build a pipeline running from this gas field right this way through Saudi Arabia, then through Syria into Turkey, and onto the European market, because they want to sell their gas to us, yes, in Zurich and Munich. This is where money can be made. Gas in Qatar is worth nothing. The problem was that they had to ask Assad if he would agree that a pipeline be built through his country, and there was a problem. Assad said no. He said no. They did not like this at all, because half of this gas field is claimed by Iran. This is a very special gas field. One country has access on this side and the other on the other side. Now it's instantly clear, whoever pumps faster is the winner, right? This is one huge formation, this gas field. And then the Iranians said, yes, we would like to build this green pipeline here. Then they asked Assad, and this time he said yes. So after all, it's not that complicated. Iran wants to hold Assad in power. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and Turkey want to overthrow Assad. That's it. And if you'd like a deeper insight, then in the background you can see the Americans and the British, who have decided that they want to overthrow Assad. Okay? This means, on one side you have the alliance of the NATO countries, Great Britain, USA and France, who want to bring Assad down, together with the Gulf monarchies, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Erdogan in Turkey. These are the countries governed by Sunnis. They want to take Assad down. On the other side you have the Shiite Iran, together with the Shiite Hezbollah, who want to keep the Alawite Assad in power. And also the Russians, who want to hold Assad in power because the Russians have 2 military bases in Syria. Moreover, the Russians don't want Qatari gas on the European market, because everybody who watches the Champions League knows that Gazprom is already there. People think that there are a lot of complicated things involved, but it's only so complex because we are permanently being misled. Yes, you can present things in a way that no one can follow anymore. But right from the start, it can be explained as a simple regime change based on geostrategy. Then it all makes sense, because then on the one side you have the Sunni alliance with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, plus Great Britain, France and the USA, the NATO countries, and on the other side Russia, Iran, Hezbollah and Assad. And the whole story has been going on for 4 years already. There are 400,000 dead. And here in Switzerland, and in Germany too, I have been watching this, Assad is described simply as the slaughterer, the butcher of Damascus. Yes? Of course you're not hearing anything about oil and gas. They claim that there has not been any intervention. Only now that Assad has begun to slaughter his own people, action is taken. And this is just not true, right? First of all, essentially Saudi Arabia and Turkey have deliberately let radical jihadists infiltrate Syria. There, they have been then, so to speak, ordered to destabilize the Syrian society. And this worked quite well. After all, if you let extremely radical jihadists who kill and behead people infiltrate a country and you give them weapons, then you can destabilize any country. Actually, part of the background is that in 2011 the war in Libya was fought and Gaddafi was murdered. Then there were a lot of weapons left there. These weapons were flown to the Air Force base in Incirlik in Turkey. And from there then, Al-Nusra Front, the Free Syrian Army, and Al-Qaeda in Syria, who calls themselves IS now, have been equipped and armed. Our media tells us that these are rebels. The term rebel for us is not so bad. After all, James Dean was a rebel too. But when they would be called jihadists, that would make you feel awkward, right? And the really odd thing is that the NATO countries, USA, Great Britain and France, are on the side of the rebels, which means on the side of the jihadists. Now, if the population finds this out, the storm really would be raging, right? Because they keep insisting that NATO fights against jihadism.